How much longer are you going to let the chaos of life tear you apart? Every moment you waste reacting to things you can't control, you're allowing the world to dictate your peace, your happiness, and your sense of purpose. How many times have you burned with frustration over things that don't even matter in the grand scheme of life? That anger, that anxiety, that constant grip of stress. It's all a reflection of how little control you truly have over your own mind. But here's the uncomfortable truth. It doesn't have to be this way. Stoicism has been showing people for centuries how to break free from this cycle of suffering. It teaches us that the real power lies not in changing the world around us, but in changing how we react to it. What if the key to your peace, your strength, and your clarity was always within your grasp, just waiting for you to take hold of it? If you're ready to stop letting life control you, if you're ready to claim your power back, then please subscribe. It's a commitment to your own growth, to finally living with purpose and strength. 1. Emotional control, the calm in the storm. Have you ever been in a situation where someone said something so provoking that it felt like your emotions were about to explode? Maybe they criticized you unfairly, or maybe they just pushed all the right buttons. In that moment, everything inside you wants to lash out, to defend yourself, to fight back. But here's the thing. How often does reacting in anger actually make the situation better? It might feel good in the moment, but all it does is fuel the fire, and often it leaves both parties feeling worse off than before. The real power lies not in reacting, but in staying calm, in maintaining control over your emotions despite the chaos around you. This is the difference between someone who is quickly forgotten and someone who leaves a lasting impression. Think about it. When you meet someone who can stay composed in the heat of the moment, it's not just admirable, it's magnetic. You may not realize it right away, but there's something incredibly calming about being around a person who is unshaken by external events. In the midst of a tense conversation, when others are quick to raise their voices or get defensive, the person who simply takes a deep breath, steps back, and responds with a level head stands out. Their ability to stay grounded in the storm is like a beacon of peace, and that calm energy is something people remember. Emotional control is the foundation of true strength. It's easy to react in anger, to let your emotions dictate your actions, especially when you feel threatened or disrespected. But those who have mastered emotional control know that their true power lies in their ability to choose their response. They understand that external events do not control them. They control how they react to those events. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you'll find strength." In those moments of frustration or anger, the power to decide how you respond is yours, and it's in that choice where your strength lies. Let's take a scenario. You're in a disagreement, and the other person is being deliberately provocative, perhaps trying to push your buttons. The typical response might be to argue back, to defend your point aggressively, or to fight for validation. But what if, instead of engaging in the drama, you simply pause? You breathe, observe, and then respond with clarity. Maybe you don't even respond immediately, but instead give yourself a moment of stillness. That moment of silence, it's powerful. It shows that you're not easily rattled. It shows emotional maturity and inner strength. And in a world that thrives on chaos, that sense of calm can be unforgettable. People don't forget the ones who can hold their ground in a storm. It's easy to get caught up in the moment, to let emotions dictate your actions. But true strength comes when you can control those impulses and choose peace over conflict. Emotional control is also a form of self-respect. When you don't react impulsively, you're showing yourself that you have the power to stay in control of your emotions, no matter what. You're not allowing someone else's actions or words to dictate your state of mind. Instead, you decide how you're going to feel, how you're going to behave, and how you're going to show up in the world. It's a quiet form of strength, one that doesn't seek attention or approval, but simply radiates from a place of self-assurance. And think about the impact it has on those around you. When you remain calm in the face of conflict, you create a sense of safety. People feel comfortable with you because they know that you won't explode at the first sign of tension. They know that they can count on you to remain steady no matter the circumstances. That sense of security is rare, and it's something people deeply appreciate. It's not about being perfect or never feeling anger. It's about choosing to control how you express that anger, how you let it move through you without allowing it to define your actions. This is the essence of emotional control, the ability to stay true to your inner peace, regardless of the external noise. So, next time you find yourself in a situation where emotions are running high, remember that your reaction is the one thing you can control. Instead of getting caught up in the rush of anger or frustration, take a moment to breathe, collect your thoughts, and respond with a calm, composed energy. That's how you make an impression that sticks. It's not about perfection or never feeling upset. It's about showing that no matter what happens, you are the master of your own emotions. And when you master your emotions, you become unforgettable. 2. The power of listening, being present in the moment. In a world where everyone is constantly trying to be heard, it can feel like the act of truly listening has become a lost art. Every conversation seems to be more about waiting for your turn to speak than actually absorbing what the other person is saying. We all know what it's like to be in a conversation where the other person is just nodding along, waiting for you to finish so they can jump in with their own thoughts. It's a frustrating experience, isn't it? It makes you feel like you're not really being heard at all. But here's the thing, the people who make the biggest impact on our lives are often the ones who do the exact opposite. They don't just hear the words you're saying, they actually listen. They take in the meaning behind your words, the emotion, the essence of what you're trying to communicate. And that's what makes them unforgettable. Listening is more than just a passive act. It's about being present in the moment, giving your full attention, and showing genuine interest in what the other person has to say. How often do we truly do that? Think about it. When was the last time you had a conversation where you didn't think about what you were going to say next, or glance at your phone, or mentally wander off? True listening requires focus and patience. It's easy to get distracted, to think about your response, to jump in with your own thoughts. But the real power comes when you can push all that aside and simply be there, fully engaged in the moment. That's when real connections happen. Imagine you're sitting across from someone and they start sharing something personal with you. Maybe it's something they've been holding in for a while, something important to them. Now, picture that person speaking, and you're not thinking about what to say next or trying to finish their sentence. Instead, you're completely in the moment. You're making eye contact, nodding occasionally, and genuinely taking in every word. You're not just hearing their voice, you're hearing their story, their emotions, their fears, their joys. This kind of listening doesn't just communicate that you care, it tells the other person, you matter. That's what sticks with people. It's that feeling of being truly understood, of knowing that someone is listening to you not just with their ears, but with their heart. In a world where most conversations are transactional, where we talk to exchange information, offer advice, or share our opinions, the act of truly listening becomes rare. And when something is rare, it becomes valuable. People remember the ones who listen. Why? Because it's so much more than just hearing words. When you listen deeply, you make someone feel seen. You make them feel like their thoughts, their feelings, their experiences are worthy of attention. In a way, you're acknowledging their existence, their humanity. That kind of presence is powerful. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." There's a deep truth in that. We all want to be understood, yet we're often afraid to truly expose ourselves to others. But when someone listens to us with such full attention, we're able to open up more freely, and that's when true connection is made. Listening allows others to be their true selves without fear of judgment, without the pressure of needing to perform or impress. It creates a space for authenticity to flourish. And that's what we're all craving, isn't it? To be accepted for who we are, without the masks we often wear in daily life. Think about the last time you felt really heard. Maybe it was with a close friend or a family member, or perhaps even a stranger who went out of their way to listen to you. How did that make you feel? It probably made you feel lighter, seen, valued, and it's likely that you walked away from that conversation feeling a deeper connection with that person. That feeling of being truly understood is what sticks with us. It stays in our memory long after the conversation ends. Now, here's a thought. When was the last time you made someone feel that way? When was the last time you were the one who truly listened? It's easy to get caught up in our own thoughts, to think we need to be the one talking, sharing our own experiences or wisdom. But the truth is, sometimes the most powerful thing we can do in a conversation is simply shut up and listen. And I don't mean just waiting for your turn to speak. I mean being genuinely present in that moment. When you give someone that kind of undivided attention, you're not just listening to their words, you're listening to their energy, their body language, their unspoken emotions. You're connecting with them on a deeper level. Listening in this way isn't just about making the other person feel good, it's also a way to grow and learn. When you truly listen to others, you open yourself up to new perspectives. You learn things you might never have considered before. We all live in our own little bubbles, surrounded by our own thoughts and experiences. But when we listen to others with an open heart and mind, we expand that bubble. We begin to see the world through someone else's eyes, and that broadens our understanding, our empathy, and our ability to connect with others. Let's not forget that listening is also an act of respect. In a culture where everyone is clamoring to be heard, truly listening to someone else is a way of showing that you respect their opinion, their experience, and their right to be heard. It's not just about agreeing with them, it's about valuing their perspective. It's about saying, I may not agree with everything you're saying, but I'm here, I'm listening, and I respect you enough to give you my full attention. The next time you're in a conversation, try something different. Instead of thinking about what you're going to say next, just focus on listening. Give the other person your full attention. Don't interrupt, don't judge, don't try to fix their problem. Just listen. And see how that changes the dynamic of the conversation. You might be surprised at how much deeper your connection with that person becomes, and you might just find that the more you listen, the more unforgettable you become. Listening is not just a skill, it's a practice. It takes conscious effort, especially in a world full of distractions. But when you make it a habit, you'll begin to notice how much richer your relationships become. You'll see that people start to open up to you in ways they never have before. You'll find that you're building emotional bonds that go beyond surface-level interactions. And, in time, you'll become the kind of person people can't forget. Not because you spoke the loudest, but because you were the one who took the time to truly listen. So the next time you're having a conversation, remember, it's not about you, it's about them. It's about being present, offering your full attention, and showing the other person that they matter. In a world full of noise, being someone who listens deeply is an act of rare, true connection, and that's what people remember. 3. Walking away in peace, the power of letting go. Let's be real for a second. How often do you see people argue, fight, or beg for closure when a relationship ends? It's something we've all witnessed and maybe even experienced ourselves. A breakup, a falling out, a difficult conversation. It often turns into something chaotic, messy, and filled with emotion. Both sides end up feeling worse, hurt, and confused. It's like trying to hold onto a rope that's slipping through your hands. The tighter you grip it, the more it frays, and the more you end up feeling the strain. But what if you didn't need to do any of that? What if, instead of fighting for closure or trying to explain every little detail, you could simply walk away in peace? Think about this for a moment. A person who truly knows their worth doesn't need to beg, argue, or plead for closure. They don't need to chase after validation or justification. When a chapter in their life comes to an end, they simply say, "I wish you well," and walk away. That's it. No drama, no resentment, no hard feelings. This doesn't mean they don't care or that they're indifferent. It means they are grounded enough to know that their peace is not dependent on the other person's response. They understand that the relationship's end does not define them, and their sense of self is secure. It comes from within. This kind of emotional strength is incredibly rare in today's world. We live in a culture that often encourages us to hold on, to fight for what we think we deserve, and to leave nothing unresolved. There's this unspoken pressure to seek closure, to make sure everything is neatly tied up and explained. But in reality, this desire for closure can often keep us tied to the past. It's as if we're holding on to the rope that's slipping, even though it's hurting us more and more with every second. We need to learn to let go, to walk away from situations that no longer serve us, without dragging the weight of bitterness or resentment along with us. The fear of letting go often comes from the same place, a lack of self-acceptance, a belief that we need something or someone else to define our worth. But true strength lies in the acceptance that we are enough, regardless of external circumstances or other people's actions. When we fully embrace who we are, we don't need to fight for closure. We don't need the other person to validate our feelings or actions. We simply know our value, and that knowing gives us the peace to move forward, free from unnecessary drama. The next time you find yourself facing a difficult goodbye or a tense ending, consider this. Instead of getting caught up in the chaos, choose peace. Walk away without bitterness. Let go without holding on to grudges. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's incredibly empowering. When you choose peace in the face of turmoil, you're not weak. You're showing strength that comes from within. You're proving that you don't need to control the situation or the other person. Your peace is yours to keep, no matter what's happening around you. We often mistake confrontation for strength. We think that if we push hard enough, if we make the other person see things our way, we'll feel better. But in truth, that kind of emotional tug-of-war only leaves both parties exhausted and drained. Real strength is being able to walk away with grace. It's knowing that sometimes the best thing you can do for both yourself and the other person is to let go, to give them and yourself the space to heal and move on. This kind of strength doesn't seek to control the narrative or force closure. It understands that closure doesn't come from words or explanations. It comes from within, from a quiet decision to stop fighting and start healing. When you choose to let go with peace, you also give the other person the gift of peace. People who don't need to drag things out, who don't demand answers or seek revenge, are the ones who create an environment of calm, even in the most difficult situations. They allow the other person to breathe, to step away without feeling the weight of unresolved tension. And in the end, that's what makes them unforgettable. People remember the ones who didn't argue, who didn't try to win the situation, but who quietly, peacefully walked away. It's easy to stay entangled in messy situations, especially when emotions are running high. But the truth is, you don't need to be part of the chaos to be heard. You don't need to be in the middle of the storm to make your mark. Sometimes the most profound thing you can do is to step out of the storm, keep your integrity intact, and walk away with dignity. That's how you show strength. That's how you show that your peace is not something anyone else can take from you. In a world that often pushes us to fight for what we think we deserve, walking away in peace may seem counterintuitive. But it's one of the most powerful choices you can make. It's the choice to protect your emotional well-being, to honor your own boundaries, and to walk towards something better without dragging the past with you. When you choose peace over drama, you send a powerful message that your peace is non-negotiable, that your self-worth doesn't depend on external validation, and that you don't need anyone else to define you. You simply are, and that's enough. And while this might be difficult in the moment, over time, you'll notice the immense freedom it brings. By letting go of the need for closure, you free yourself from the cycle of emotional turmoil that so often follows a difficult ending. You no longer need to keep replaying the past or trying to figure out how things could have turned out differently. Instead, you give yourself the space to heal, to grow, and to move forward in a healthier, more balanced way. Choosing peace doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to walk away from situations that drain you. It means you respect yourself enough to not get caught up in emotional battles that won't bring you peace. It means you've learned to control your own emotional state, regardless of external circumstances. That's the kind of strength that others notice, and it's the kind of strength that makes a lasting impact. It's the kind of strength that is unforgettable. So, the next time you're faced with a difficult ending, remember, you have the power to choose peace. You don't need to fight for closure or resolution. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Simply walk away, let go, and allow yourself the freedom to move on. The peace you choose now will follow you into the future, shaping your path in ways you never imagined. 4. Living for a higher purpose. The drive that doesn't rely on others. There's something magnetic about a person who lives with purpose. It's not about being the loudest in the room or commanding attention with flashy gestures. Instead, it's about the quiet power that comes from living for something greater than yourself. It's about having a mission that drives you, something so compelling that it fills your days with intention and meaning. Have you ever encountered someone who seemed to have their life together? Not because they were trying to impress anyone, but because they were deeply focused on their own path? You could feel their energy, right? It wasn't the noise or the attention that drew people in. It was their commitment to their purpose. They weren't seeking validation, and that in itself was magnetic. It's a rare kind of energy that leaves a lasting impression, one that says, "I'm doing this because I believe in it, not because I need you to believe in me." It's easy to get caught up in the chase for approval, to think that we need to constantly prove ourselves to others. We live in a world that often defines success by external validation. How many likes we get, how many followers we have, how others see us. But when you live for something greater than validation, you start to notice a shift. The noise of the world starts to fade. You're no longer concerned with who is watching or what others think of you. Your focus is on the work, the journey, the mission that matters most to you. That's the kind of focus that makes a person stand out. It's not loud or boastful, but it's powerful in its own way. People can't help but notice it because it's rare. Think about someone you know who is always working towards a goal. Maybe they're building something, creating something, or constantly improving themselves in some way. They're not waiting for permission from others to pursue their dreams. They're driven by their own internal compass, and that's what makes them unique. They don't need to chase after approval because they already know where they're headed. This kind of inner direction is magnetic. It draws people in because it's grounded in something real and deep. When you live for a higher purpose, you become more attractive. Not because you're trying to be, but because you're too busy with your own growth to worry about impressing others. When you're focused on your purpose, you stop looking for external validation. You stop needing others to tell you you're doing well. Instead, your validation comes from the satisfaction of knowing you're moving closer to your goals. The energy you put into your mission speaks for itself. It doesn't require you to shout from the rooftops or constantly talk about how amazing your life is. It's quiet, but it's clear. And that clarity is what attracts others. They see that you're not trying to be anything you're not. You're simply being yourself, pursuing something you deeply believe in, and that's powerful. This kind of purpose-driven life doesn't leave room for distractions. When you're clear on what matters to you, everything else falls into place. You stop wasting energy on things that don't serve your goals, and you start investing that energy into what truly matters. Your mission becomes the foundation of everything you do. Whether it's a passion project, a career, or a personal goal, you're no longer swayed by the opinions of others. The more you focus on your own path, the more you realize that the approval of others is irrelevant. It's a freeing realization, one that brings a sense of peace and confidence because you no longer need to look outside of yourself for validation. You've already found it within. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that's exactly what happens when you start living for a higher purpose. You begin to shed the layers of expectations that others have placed on you. You stop being a reflection of what others want you to be, and you start being a reflection of who you really are. That's when things begin to fall into place. You start doing work that aligns with your values, and you find fulfillment not in the result, but in the journey itself. And as you keep moving forward, you find that the people who resonate with your energy and your mission start to show up. They recognize your authenticity and are drawn to it. It's a natural process that happens when you stop seeking approval and start seeking purpose. Living with purpose also allows you to navigate life with a sense of direction that is unshakable. When life gets tough, and it inevitably does, having a clear purpose gives you something to return to. It's like having a map when you're lost in unfamiliar territory. The challenges might still be difficult, but you know where you're headed, and that knowledge gives you the strength to keep going. You're no longer distracted by the noise around you. You're focused on your goal, and that focus becomes your anchor. One of the most beautiful things about living for a higher purpose is that it brings a sense of balance. When your life is built around your mission, everything else starts to find its rightful place. The relationships you invest in, the work you do, the way you spend your time, it all starts to align with the vision you have for your life. This kind of alignment doesn't happen overnight, but when it does, it's transformative. You start to notice that you're not as stressed or anxious because you're no longer juggling competing priorities. You know what matters most, and everything else becomes secondary. Your mission gives you clarity, and that clarity brings peace. The person who lives for a higher purpose doesn't need to constantly announce their worth. They don't need to boast about their accomplishments or try to impress others with their success. Their actions speak for themselves. And over time, this kind of authenticity builds trust and admiration. People are drawn to those who are genuine and focused on something greater than themselves. The ones who chase fame, approval, or attention often find themselves empty, constantly needing more. But the person who is focused on their purpose is already fulfilled. They know that their worth comes from within, and nothing external can change that. So, ask yourself, what's your mission? What is it that drives you, that gives you a sense of purpose, that makes you feel alive? Finding that mission is one of the most important things you can do for yourself, It's the thing that will keep you grounded when everything around you feels uncertain. It's the thing that will push you to keep going when you face setbacks. And when you have that kind of direction, you become unstoppable. The person who lives for a higher purpose isn't worried about what others think of them. They know who they are and what they're working toward, and that makes them unshakable. It's not about being perfect or never failing. It's about being true to yourself and staying committed to your mission no matter what. When you make your purpose your priority, everything else will naturally fall into place. The right people, the right opportunities, the right experiences. They'll come to you because your life is already aligned with your values. So, take the time to discover what truly matters to you. Find your mission and make it the center of your life. When you do, you'll notice how much more focused, fulfilled, and at peace you feel. Your path won't always be easy, but it will be yours, and that's when you become truly unstoppable. 5. The presence of calm, creating an atmosphere of peace. Excitement and passion are often celebrated. They ignite our energy, push us to new heights, and give us that thrill we crave. But what happens when that excitement fades? What remains when the rush is gone? Calm. Calm stays. And it's one of the most underrated yet powerful qualities you can have. The most unforgettable people, the ones who leave a lasting impact, aren't necessarily the ones who make the most noise or fill the room with energy. They are the ones whose presence brings peace, not chaos. It's almost like they have an invisible aura of tranquility that you can't help but gravitate toward. When you're around them, you feel grounded. It's as if you can finally breathe. The world slows down a little. You feel safe, even when everything around you might be spinning. We live in a world that thrives on excitement. We're constantly seeking the next big thing, the next rush of adrenaline, the next piece of drama to keep us entertained. But amidst all that noise, the quiet presence of calm has become a rare treasure. When someone radiates calm, they offer something that's harder to come by than any high-energy experience. It's not about being static or emotionless. It's about being steady. When everything around you is moving too fast, when emotions are running high, being able to stay rooted in calmness is a gift. People remember that steadiness, that ability to hold the space without being consumed by the chaos. In relationships especially, calmness is like a breath of fresh air. It creates a sense of safety that is vital, especially in moments of conflict or stress. When things get difficult, it's the person who can remain steady that often becomes the anchor, the one others turn to. It's in those moments that your true strength shows, not because you're perfect, but because you know how to show up when it matters most. It's easy to think that we have to be perfect to create peace. Many of us think that in order to be seen as calm, we need to be unshakable, never flustered, never upset. But that's not the case. Calmness isn't about perfection. It's about how you handle yourself in difficult moments. It's about your ability to be present and composed, even when things aren't going as planned. Emotions will rise. We will get frustrated, angry, sad, or hurt. It's natural. The difference is in how we respond to those emotions. Will you let them control you, or will you control them? It's in the moments when things get heated or stressful that calmness becomes a real superpower. Being able to take a step back, breathe, and not let your emotions dictate your behavior is what makes you unforgettable. People are drawn to this because it's rare. In a world filled with constant motion and reactive behaviors, calmness is a gift that stands out. So how can you cultivate this presence of calm? The good news is, it doesn't require a complete personality overhaul. It's simple, but it takes practice. One of the first things you can do is practice patience. In the rush of life, We often want things to happen quickly, and when they don't, frustration sets in. But patience allows you to take a step back, to not react impulsively, and to create space for thoughtful action. When you practice patience, you allow yourself time to respond rather than react, and that can change the way you handle even the most stressful situations. Another powerful tool is mindfulness. By being present in the moment, you become more aware of your emotions, your thoughts, and the energy you bring into a room. You can choose to ground yourself in the present instead of getting lost in worries about the future or frustrations from the past. Mindfulness allows you to fully experience what's happening without being overwhelmed by it. It's a practice of accepting what is, without judgment, and allowing yourself to remain steady amidst the ebb and flow of emotions. Emotional awareness is also a key piece of this puzzle. The more you understand your own emotions, the better equipped you are to handle them with calmness. When you're aware of how you're feeling, you're less likely to be swept away by a sudden surge of anger or sadness. You can recognize your emotions for what they are, temporary reactions to situations, and not let them control your actions. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you acknowledge them and choose how to respond with intention. Being emotionally aware allows you to stay in control of your reactions, which in turn allows you to create a peaceful presence for others to feel safe in. What does this look like in practice? Let's say you're in a heated conversation and things are starting to escalate. Most people would get defensive, raise their voices, or try to prove their point. But what if, instead of adding fuel to the fire, you chose to stay composed? Maybe you take a deep breath, remind yourself that this moment doesn't need to define your emotional state, and respond calmly. By doing this, you're not only protecting your own peace, but you're also creating a calm space for the other person. You're showing them that they don't have to be swept away by the tension. You're providing a sense of safety, and that's something they'll remember. When you accept yourself, with all your imperfections and emotions, you can also accept others in their imperfection. You no longer feel the need to control or react to their emotions because you're secure in your own. It's this sense of self-assurance that allows you to stay calm in difficult situations. When you know who you are, and you trust in your ability to handle challenges, you stop being reactive and start becoming responsive. And this is what creates that rare, magnetic calm that people remember. Creating an atmosphere of peace doesn't require you to be perfect. It doesn't mean that you never get upset or that you always have the right answers. It's about how you show up when it matters. It's about choosing to be present, to respond with thoughtfulness, and to bring a sense of steadiness into every interaction. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you'll find that your presence alone has the power to shift the energy in a room. You'll become the person people turn to when they need a sense of calm. And the more you embody that, the more you'll find that your life becomes filled with peaceful moments, even in the most difficult circumstances. This kind of presence is unforgettable because it's rare. People are drawn to those who bring calm into their lives, especially when the world feels chaotic. In a society that thrives on constant motion, loud voices, and quick reactions, choosing calm is an act of rebellion, an act that shows real strength. It's not about being passive or indifferent. It's about mastering your emotions and choosing peace over chaos. It's about being a force of calm in a world that desperately needs it. And when you become that person, you become unforgettable. Your presence becomes the kind of peace that others will remember long after the conversation ends, long after the situation has passed. So, next time you're faced with a stressful situation or a heated moment, remember, you have the power to create calm. Choose to show up with peace, not chaos. Practice patience, mindfulness, and emotional awareness. Become the person who others feel they can turn to when they need a moment of peace. In a world that often feels like it's spinning out of control, being the steady presence of calm can make all the difference. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up with the strength to remain grounded no matter what. And that's a power that will stay with you and others long after the moment has passed. 6. Forgiving silently, the strength of letting go. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's strength. It may sound counterintuitive at first. In a world where we're often told to fight back, to stand our ground, or to seek justice for every wrong done to us, forgiveness can seem like giving up, like allowing the other person to win. But think about the last time someone wronged you. Really think about it. What did you do? Did you let the anger simmer, maybe even lash out in return? Did you hold on to the hurt, replaying it over and over in your mind? Or did you try to seek some form of revenge, big or small, just to feel like you'd won in some way? Or perhaps, did you forgive them, quietly, without expecting anything in return? It's easy to believe that revenge is the only way to make ourselves feel better after we've been hurt. We think that somehow getting even will restore our sense of justice, that somehow hurting them back will heal the wounds they've caused us. But deep down, we all know that's not true. It doesn't heal the wound, it just opens another one, not in them, but in ourselves. It keeps us tethered to the past, feeding the bitterness and making it impossible to move forward. The truth is, revenge often hurts us more than it hurts anyone else. It traps us in a cycle of negativity, clouding our minds and hearts, keeping us stuck in that moment of pain. What sets the truly unforgettable people apart is their ability to forgive without drama. They don't hold on to bitterness, and they don't keep score. They understand a powerful truth, that holding on to anger and resentment only causes more harm to themselves. They recognize that forgiveness isn't about excusing the wrongdoing or letting the other person off the hook. It's about freeing themselves. It's about choosing peace over pain, release over resentment. In choosing to forgive, they let go of the past, allowing themselves to move forward unburdened by the weight of what was done to them. Think about someone who's wronged you, someone who hurt you in a way that cut deep. Instead of feeling the urge to get back at them, imagine how powerful it would be to simply let it go. Not ignore it, not brush it under the rug, but consciously decide to release it. You choose not to carry the weight of that hurt any longer. You choose to release the grip it has on your mind and your heart. It doesn't mean that what they did was okay. It means that you are choosing to let go of the power that the hurt has over you. That kind of forgiveness, that silent release, is one of the most powerful acts of emotional strength a person can make. It's unforgettable because it shows a rare kind of mastery over your own emotions. It's a decision to prioritize your own well-being over the desire to see someone else suffer. Carl Jung once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." This speaks directly to the heart of forgiveness. When we forgive silently, we are not only choosing to move beyond the harm done to us, but we are also refusing to let the actions of others dictate who we become. In that silence, we assert control over ourselves. We refuse to be defined by the hurt, the anger, or the resentment. We are choosing to be unlike those who wronged us, choosing not to mirror their actions, but to transcend them. In doing so, we free ourselves from the cycle of negativity, and we prevent ourselves from becoming the very thing we despise. Imagine the power in this. Someone wrongs you, but instead of letting it fester inside, you choose to forgive. You don't confront them, you don't demand an apology, and you don't waste your energy on harboring ill will. You simply release it. That's strength. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself to the world or get validated by anyone else. It's the kind of strength that quietly speaks volumes. People notice this kind of quiet resilience, this ability to stand tall without needing to prove anything. They remember it because it's rare and it's profound. Most people hold on to grudges. Most people let anger control them, but the ones who forgive silently without seeking acknowledgement or revenge become unforgettable. It's a quiet strength that lingers far longer than any loud confrontation ever could. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending that the pain never happened. It means choosing to no longer let that pain control your life. It means recognizing that, while the past can't be changed, your future is still in your hands. By choosing to forgive, you reclaim your power. You decide that your happiness, your peace, and your growth are more important than holding on to the past. And in that decision, you take back the narrative of your life. You rewrite the story from one of victimhood to one of strength, resilience, and freedom. The beauty of silent forgiveness is that it's not performed for anyone else's approval or validation. It's a deeply personal act, one that speaks to the integrity of your character. It's about living in alignment with your values, not allowing anyone else's actions to dictate your emotional state. When you forgive silently, you are saying, "I won't let this define me. I won't let this take away my peace." And that is powerful. It's an inner strength that doesn't need to be flaunted or displayed. It simply is. It is the kind of strength that commands respect without ever asking for it. Now imagine the kind of relationships you could build if you embraced this kind of forgiveness. Imagine being able to move through life, knowing that you can release the burdens of past hurts, letting go of resentment and anger as you go. You wouldn't carry the weight of other people's mistakes with you. You'd free yourself from the emotional baggage that holds so many people back. Instead of living with a constant feeling of resentment, you'd be able to experience life with a lighter heart, open to the possibilities ahead. You'd be able to move forward without being dragged down by the past, and that kind of freedom is priceless. Letting go isn't easy. It takes time, patience, and emotional maturity. But when you make the conscious choice to forgive silently, to release the need for revenge or confrontation, you free yourself in ways that most people will never understand. The pain may not disappear overnight, but with every act of forgiveness, you create space for healing. You make room for peace to settle in, and that peace will be something you carry with you into every future relationship, every future interaction. It will be a part of who you are, radiating out to those around you, and in turn, the people you forgive silently will remember you for that peace. They will remember that you chose to rise above the drama, above the hurt, and you chose to let it go, not for them, but for yourself. In the end, silent forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about you. It's about choosing to stop carrying the weight of resentment, to stop letting the past dictate your future. It's about stepping into your own power and saying, "I am bigger than this moment, and I will not be defined by it." That's a strength that people can't forget, because it's rare and it's real. And when you forgive silently, you not only free yourself, you create a space for peace and growth, not just for you, but for everyone around you. That's the kind of strength that leaves a lasting impression. Remember, the real power lies in your ability to let go. In forgiving silently, you reclaim your peace, your strength, and your freedom. It's not about excusing the past. It's about choosing your future. So take that first step today. Release the weight and allow yourself to move forward with clarity and grace. Take a moment to dive deeper into the wisdom of Stoicism by watching one of the suggested videos on the screen. And thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal. Keep walking your path with peace and purpose.